transit has been top of mind at council this week. 2 notices of motion related to transit were approved by councillors yesterday. One proposal to review and reform the free fare zone was passed unanimously, and another proposal to look into extending the length of time for transfers was approved in an 11-4 vote. Ward 6 councillor John Pantazopoulos was one of the councillors who put forward the motion to review the free fare zone. He was a co-sponsor on the transfer motion as well. Let's start with the motion to review and reform the free fare zone. What exactly has council signed off on?
Absolutely. Myself and Councillor Ewell were co-sponsors of the initiative, and this really was driven by budgetary discussions back in November. There was a motion that was put forward to completely eliminate the downtown free fare zone, and we did vote that down at the time. And subsequent to that, Councillor Ewell and I got together and said, look, what do we need? We need information. We need data. We need to talk to stakeholders, impacted Calgarians, and riders and operators as well to understand what exactly we have, how can we improve it, and whether we need to extend it, expand it, or contract it.
So the options are sort of all on the table, and you need to figure out the data and what people will tell you. What will you do with the info you gather, and what's the timeline here?
So the timeline, we're going to do it over the next few months. Administration, as part of that notice of motion, has instructions to go out and talk to everybody. What I mean by that is I think there was 13 groups that were specifically identified, but to be clear, we said it was just sort of the beginning. People like Calgary Police Service, Downtown Association, Calgary Economic Development, tourism, people that live downtown, work and play downtown as well. So we're going to prepare that. Administration will take that information and put together a report. And then council sort of dovetails perfectly into a full review of the fare on Calgary Transit and really understand, in conjunction with other changes that may be proposed on transit, does it still make sense to have a free fare zone, or do we have to look to change it pretty materially? Yeah,
so if you decide, to do away with it, part of the motion says you're looking into viable alternatives to the existing free fare zone. It's early, I recognize that, but what kind of alternatives might be possible?
Well, I think what we've heard very clearly from our folks in tourism, our folks from the convention center as well, is that something like the downtown free fare zone is pretty important. So maybe there's hybrids. Maybe there's situations where, as a tourist, you have reduced fare or no fare at all. Possibly somebody during convention with their lanyard that has their pass, they get to jump on there as well. Stampede, obviously lots of folks use transit. We want to encourage people to use transit so they're not driving downtown. Possibly during Stampede, just welcoming tourists and visitors to our city. So I think there's lots of options. And even with that, do we extend it to the Stampede grounds? I mean, now that we have the BMO Center there, we're going to have the brand new hockey rink. Wouldn't that be amazing to have that to go one more stop? So I think what's really important for Calgarians listening is everything's on the table. There is no predetermined outcome, but more importantly, we're going to talk to as many impacted individuals as possible, get the right information. As a council, we'll come back and make a recommendation and a choice.
There's a detail about potential enhancements. Do you have any idea what that's talking about?
Yeah, the enhancement is, I think, also the possibility of expansion. I just mentioned, for example,
going an extra stop.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's come up a lot of conversations with the Stampede, with tourism, just saying, hey, look, we've got this magical brand new convention center there, which is lots of conventions are coming to Calgary now as a result of having the downtown convention center and the BMO Center. Well, can we have that disconnect? We have that disconnect right now. So if people are going between events, so is there a possibility of expansion? I think really everything's on the table, but this was something that we actually asked it at council. Nobody knew when it started. Actually, that's not true. In 1979, they actually started. It was a 10-15 cents to encourage people to use ridership downtown. And I think, almost 50 years later, it's time to reimagine and look at it again and just to make sure we're doing it right, considering our city has grown so much.
Right. So another item about making transfer windows longer was originally proposed by one of your council colleagues, Ward 12 councillor Mike Jamieson. You were a co-sponsor. That item was approved. Tell us what that was about and what difference a longer transfer window will make.
Absolutely. And Councillor Jamieson was really instrumental in bringing a bunch of us together to say, hey, look, Calgary's changed. When that 90-minute window was brought forward, it was in the late 90s, and nobody actually knows exactly when or what the reasons. And Calgary, as we all know, has changed completely. We added 100,000+ people last year, and a 90-minute window to travel across our city from the deep south up to the northwest, it definitely takes longer than 90 minutes. In fact, one of my council colleagues during the debate yesterday went on to Calgary Transit and said, look, it's going to take me an hour and a half to take the bus to the train to the bus to get back home. So it just sort of proved in real time that our city's changed, and and what can we do to help facilitate people to get on transit. That's the ultimate goal, is how can we make it more convenient? How can we make it more fair, equitable, and more importantly, more people coming on transit? And that re-examination of 90 minutes to 120 minutes, the city's changed. We're almost 2 million people. We're on a path to 2 million, and our city keeps growing, so we have to look at all options.
It's interesting, for one thing, you picture somebody that is taking 2 hours to get to and from work, and there are people doing that, and my goodness, what a grind. So on the flip side, some of the councillors that voted against it raised concerns there might be cost implications that haven't been accounted for here. Do you share those concerns?
One thing I think that what this council has done right is we want to be data driven. If we just talked about the free fare zone, and really it's a search for more data to make sure we make the right decision. This adventure as well, for our 90 minutes to 120 minutes, is a data sourcing exercise as well. We want to understand the financial impacts. We want to understand the impact to ridership. I personally think that it'll be a net positive. A situation where somebody may actually choose to take transit now, whether they go pick up their groceries or go visit a friend or go downtown for drinks or dinner. I think it'll be a net positive. It just makes that more available to Calgarians. But ultimately, more importantly, we're going to let it by the data, see exactly what the data says, understand, talk to impacted Calgarians and say, does this make sense? Should we extend it? And will it have a material impact to our transit system?
So, there's an appetite on council to increase transit usage in the city. You point out there's growing demand given the growth in the city. We're talking about, a review, potential reform of the free fare zone. We're talking about extending transfer times. What else is in the toolkit to get more Calgarians riding buses and trains?
Absolutely. I think, administration will be presenting a report later this year to council on fare strategies. We ultimately have a $4 fare. It doesn't matter if you go one stop or 25 stops. It's the exact same. So administration's looking back. Is there options? Many cities and communities around the world have zones where, for example, if you go to one zone, it's one price. If you go another zone, it's another. So I'm not predetermining any outcome. I think when we're looking at it, we're looking at not only the fare cost, but safety. We're in the process of building a brand new green line. How do we get more ridership? So I think it's a whole package approach. We're entering our 4-year budget cycle in the next few months, and transit is going to be top of mind. We have to make sure that we have a proper transit system that's well funded, that's safe, secure, and allows more Calgarians to use it each and every day as we approach that 2 millionth Calgarian.